Chapter 1, The Death Match at Heaven's Arena and the Whispered Co-op Theory. The Heaven's Arena, engulfed in a vortex of frenzy. A long-standing feud finally intersected in a single fighting ring. The leader of the Phantom Troop, Chrollo Lucifer, and the battle-crazed magician, Hisoka Moro. This was the ultimate one-on-one deathmatch between top-tier nin users that readers had anticipated for years. As soon as the battle commenced, Chrollo coldly declared, "I will win, 100%. As if to prove those words were no mere bluff, he literally crushed Hisoka using a meticulously constructed strategy combining 5 different nin abilities. Caught in a massive explosion, Hisoka died, and the blood-soaked deathmatch quietly came to a close with Chrollo's absolute victory. Or so it seemed. However, a certain hypothesis continues to cast a long shadow over this historic battle. This is the so-called co-op theory, which suggests that Chrollo was not fighting alone, but was secretly coordinating with Phantom Troop members hidden in the audience, namely Maki, Quarterpie, and Shanark. Why did such a theory emerge regarding a seemingly perfect one-on-one match? It stems from several unnatural phenomena scattered throughout the chapters, which led some to believe Chrollo utilized a team-based ambush to ensure Hisoka's demise. 3 strange anomalies planted the seeds of doubt. First, the inexplicably rapid multiplication of copy puppets. Hisoka estimated that Chrollo could produce at most 20 to 30 puppets given the time constraints. However, a despairing horde of nearly 200 puppets ultimately swarmed the arena. Could one man truly create that many copies and simultaneously stamp them with explosive seals in the midst of a frantic melee? This birthed the suspicion that Quarterpie, the original owner of the copying ability, was secretly mass-producing them behind the scenes. Second, the vanishing antenna amidst the chaos. When Hisoka struck down a manipulated human, Shanark's antenna, which should have been lodged in the victim, had vanished. Hisoka guessed it was pulled away by a fishing line, but proponents of the theory argue that Maki, hidden in the stands, used her nin threads to covertly retrieve it. Third, the inexplicable phone calls during the struggle. At the height of the tension, Chrollo was seen holding a mobile phone to his ear, giving verbal instructions. Who could he possibly be talking to in such a dire situation? Theorists argue this is definitive proof that he was communicating directly with Shanark to perfectly time their coordinated attacks. Finally, providing the supposed ultimate validation for this hypothesis, were the definitive words Maki spoke to Hisoka after he was resurrected from the brink of death by his postmortem nin. Next time, choose your opponent and location carefully. Upon hearing this, Hisoka's expression froze, and he immediately proceeded to brutally murder Quarterpie and Shanark. The co-op theory interprets this sequence as Hisoka realizing he was not defeated by Chrollo alone, but rather trapped by the Phantom Troop's teamwork, prompting a vengeful spider hunt to retaliate against a compromised duel. Connecting these dots creates a thrilling and intricate narrative. However, when examining these events through the lens of established nin rules, character psychology, and, most importantly, the creator's own commentary, a completely different reality surfaces. Chapter 2, The Outline of a One-on-One revealed by the creator's words. To unravel the tantalizing mystery of the co-op theory, the most crucial guiding light is the commentary provided by the creator himself, Yoshihiro Togashi. At the end of volume 34, Togashi included an exceptionally rare, direct commentary detailing his thought process behind the Hisoka vs Chrollo fight. In this text, he clearly outlined 3 specific goals he wanted to achieve in depicting this deathmatch. 1. To draw a story where the protagonist's enemies fight each other. 2. To have a character declare a 100% chance of winning, and to actually have them win. 3. To pay close attention to making both characters stand out, maintain their dignity/status while clearly deciding a winner. It is this third point, making both characters stand out, that provides substantial evidence pointing away from a group ambush. Consider the implications if the fight had truly been a hidden team battle of Chrollo and troop members versus Hisoka. If the co-op theory were true, it would mean Hisoka, a master of combat with sensory skills acute enough to detect a perfectly concealed Zetsu, was unilaterally beaten without ever noticing that masterclass nin users were firing off abilities just meters away from him. This would severely diminish Hisoka's status as a top-tier fighter. Conversely, Chrollo, who boldly declared a 100% victory and eloquently explained his style, would be reduced to a coward relying on a gang ambush in the shadows. This fundamentally contradicts Togashi's stated intent to make both characters stand out. For the narrative structure to maintain its integrity and respect the author's goals, this must be interpreted as a pure one-on-one bout. Furthermore, Togashi's commentary contains another decisive phrase. He explained that he initially planned for Hisoka to kill Maki, but ultimately decided to let her live. He stated the reason was that a messenger was needed for the troop, and he wanted to highlight Hisoka's cold, rational realization that he needed to shave off Chrollo's abilities. This phrasing is paramount. If troop members had physically hidden in the arena to assist Chrollo, the author would logically describe Hisoka's motive as shaving off Chrollo's allies or manpower. The specific choice of the word abilities strongly implies that what Chrollo wielded in the arena were merely the borrowed powers stored in his book, not the physical assistance of the original owners. Through defeat, Hisoka realized a cold truth: I cannot win head-on against a Chrollo who has gathered borrowed abilities and prepared perfectly. Consequently, to ensure Chrollo could never again assemble a 100% guaranteed victory condition against him, Hisoka pivoted toward a terrifyingly rational madness, hunting down the troop members themselves to permanently delete Chrollo's arsenal. Chapter 3: The Quest for Physical Truth Revealed by Battle Analysis. If the creator's own words strongly support the framework of a one-on-one duel, how can the three unnatural phenomena within the arena be explained? A calm, objective analysis of the physical battle conditions reveals that these events are entirely plausible as Chrollo's solo tactics. The mystery of the multiplying clones. If Chrollo had been secretly mass-producing the puppets, an insurmountable tactical flaw arises. Chrollo's execution relied on a seamless combo, gallery fake cloning, followed by sun and moon explosive seals, followed by order stamp manipulation. If Chrollo made the clones, Chrollo would have needed to stay immediately beside Chrollo at all times to stamp the explosive seals. In the midst of a life or death struggle, dodging the relentless assaults of the unpredictable Hisoka, having a defenseless Chrollo tailing him is tactically absurd. Furthermore, there is zero probability that Chrollo could continuously expend massive amounts of nin without Hisoka noticing. It is vastly more logical to conclude that Chrollo Lucifer alone created the puppets at God speed, roughly 1 to 2 per second, and stamped them himself. The mystery of the vanishing antenna. The theory that Maki used her nin threads to retrieve the antenna ignores the fundamental laws of nin combat depicted in the series. During this phase of the fight, Hisoka was continuously using geo-focusing aura in his eyes to expose Chrollo's invisible traps. There is no plausible scenario where Hisoka, with his senses sharpened to their absolute limits, would fail to see a nin thread stretching across the arena. Hisoka's own deduction, that Chrollo simply used a physical fishing line to reel it in, remains the most technically sound explanation. The mystery of the mid-battle phone calls. The notion that Chrollo was calling Shanark on the phone collapses when viewing the events immediately following the match. Post-battle, Chrollo calls Shanark and asks, "What about the phone? It doesn't have an antenna." He then states, "I'll give it to you on the boat." If Shanark had been present in the arena, Chrollo could have handed it directly to him. This conversation serves as narrative proof of Shanark's absence. So, who was Chrollo talking to during the chaotic melee? The most rational answer is, the puppets controlled by Order Stamp. Order Stamp only accepts vocal commands. By handing a mobile phone to a distant puppet, Chrollo could issue direct voice commands through the receiver, such as "Go to the second floor," "Find Hisoka," or "Self-destruct." Layering Shanark's black voice manual phone manipulation with Order Stamp voice manipulation to perfectly control the board is a testament to Chrollo's unparalleled strategic genius. Chapter 4: The Pride and Aesthetics of the Phantom Troop Leader, Chrollo Lucifer. Beyond the physical mechanics of the battle, an examination of the character's core traits further dispels the likelihood of a co-op ambush. While the Phantom Troop is undeniably a ruthless syndicate capable of anything, ignoring the personal pride and aesthetics of its leader, Chrollo Lucifer, misreads his established character. To understand this deathmatch, one must return to its origin. After his nin was sealed by Kurapika's judgment chain in York New City, a powerless Chrollo relied on Hisoka, who was posing as a troop member, to locate a nin exorcist in Greed Island. This duel at Heaven's Arena was, in fact, Hisoka's reward for fulfilling his end of the bargain. Chrollo is a man who strictly adheres to his own set of rules and promises. He once stated, "I don't use boring traps. Let's fight one-on-one." For him to betray the premise of a promised duel with a fated rival by planting henchmen in the audience contradicts his very nature. Why, then, did he borrow abilities, choose Heaven's Arena, and go so far as to explain his powers to Hisoka in detail? Because he was executing flawless pre-battle preparations to ensure his 100% victory. Choosing Heaven's Arena was selecting the perfect stage. To execute the lethal combo of Gallery Fake and Order Stamp, Chrollo required a massive, inescapable enclosed space filled with human materials to serve as his explosive puppets. An empty wasteland would not suffice. The audience was his ammunition, making the arena a giant, personalized trap, much like the physical pitfall Gon dug to defeat Jinthru. It was a perfectly valid, solo strategic maneuver. As for explaining his abilities, while some suspected it was a bluff to hide accomplices, it is highly likely that this disclosure was a strict new condition vow required to activate his new bookmark ability, Double Face. Alternatively, it was the ultimate manifestation of his style. As Chrollo noted, because it's just a game, style is important. He laid all his cards on the table, explained the rules, and still achieved total domination through sheer intellectual superiority. Chapter 5, Hisoka's sudden change and the true meaning behind the spider hunt. If Chrollo's pride and tactics dictated a pure one-on-one bout, what explains the sudden, violent shift in Hisoka Moro upon his resurrection? When Maki told him, "Next time, choose your opponent and location carefully," Hisoka's face fell, and he immediately moved to slaughter Kordapi and Shanark. If he wasn't acting out of revenge for being tricked by a group ambush, what drove this madness? Maki's advice was merely an echo of the basic combat theory Chrollo constantly preached to his members. Hisoka realized that Chrollo had executed this basic theory to perfection, securing the optimal location and conditions the necessary abilities. Hisoka, facing those ideal conditions, was utterly outmatched. What Hisoka realized from Maki's words was not anger over being deceived. He was confronted with a cold, overwhelming reality that shattered his own combat aesthetics. If an opponent of Chrollo's caliber is allowed to perfectly prepare and fight under 100% favorable conditions, even I, at my absolute peak, cannot win. The self-proclaimed strongest magician recognized that he was not defeated by a game, but by superior tactical preparation. His internal monologue confirms this: fighting a Chrollo-class opponent under their ideal conditions is tough. Reality is harsh. He acknowledged his pure defeat. So why the gruesome spider hunt? The answer is terrifyingly logical. If Hisoka challenges Chrollo again under similar circumstances, the result will be identical. Chrollo's ultimate strength as a skill hunter lies in the Phantom Troop itself, an unbreakable bond of skilled allies from whom he can borrow powerful abilities at any time with zero risk. To ensure Chrollo can never again build an insurmountable, 100% winning hand, Hisoka must drag him down to a raw, unpredictable battle of individuals. The only way to do this is to systematically hunt down the limbs of the spider, the very members who supply Chrollo with his abilities. The murders of Kordapi and Shanark were not revenge for a co-op ambush. They were strategic strikes to permanently delete Gallery Fake and Black Voice, the core components of Chrollo's most lethal combo, from Chrollo's book. Unshackled by his postmortem nen, Hisoka set a new rule for his game: rip off every leg of the spider until Chrollo is left completely isolated, so that next time, Hisoka can reap his head without fail. Conclusion: a cruel and beautiful true death match. The co-op theory was an incredibly alluring hypothesis birthed from the sheer complexity of nen combat and the seemingly inexplicable phenomena of the arena. It is a testament to how flawlessly Chrollo executed his strategy that readers found it hard to believe one man could orchestrate it all. However, when referencing Togashi Sensei's own writings and the structural integrity of the narrative, it is highly probable that the theory of a coordinated ambush is incorrect. Analyzing the physical logistics of the battle, the creators clearly stated storytelling goals, and the fundamental pride and psychology of the character strips away the illusion of a conspiracy. What remains is the breathtaking image of a bandit king who exhausted the limits of his intellect to build a flawless board of certain victory, and the battle-crazed magician who charged headlong into that perfect trap and was destroyed. Based on the evidence within the author's own text, it is highly probable that the historical clash at Heaven's Arena was exactly what it appeared to be: a pure, one-on-one deathmatch of overwhelming individual prowess. Viewing it through this lens only makes the ensuing, blood-soaked pursuit between the spider and the magician all the more profound, cruel, and profoundly beautiful.